Most parents come to me with one goal: get my child's mark up. And that's a fair goal. But after 30 years of teaching, I've seen that it's never just about the mark. When a child's understanding really grows, something else happens alongside it. Something most parents don't expect. The child starts to believe in themselves differently. Not just in math, but in how they approach hard things. How they handle not knowing. How they try anyway. I've watched children carry what they built in my classroom into secondary school, into new subjects, into situations that have nothing to do with math at all. That's what I call the long game. Not just better results, but a child who is stronger, more steady, and more willing to try. Because they know what it feels like to understand something hard. When Ruth set her PSLE, her mother was nervous, Ruth wasn't. And that difference right there tells you everything about what solid understanding produces. Ruth had come to me scoring around 55, low confidence, certain she was not a math person. By the time PSLE came, she was a different child. But what I want to tell you today is not about her PSLE result, it's about what happened after. Ruth went into secondary school and kept doing well. In fact, she topped her level the next few years and more to come. Not because secondary math is easier, it isn't, but because the foundation she built didn't stop being useful the moment PSLE ended. She had learned how to think through a problem, how to stay calm when she didn't know the answer straight away, how to try and keep trying without falling apart. That's what good teaching produces. Not just a result, a child who is ready for what comes next, yeah?
When the child finally understands the method, not just the answer, something shifts. They stop guessing, they stop waiting to be told. They start working things out for themselves. That shift doesn't happen because they suddenly got smarter. It happens because the explanation finally made sense. The next few videos shows you exactly what that shift looks like and what makes it possible. Keep watching.
Some parents come to me 3 months before their exam. They want fast results. Just enough to get the child through, and I understand why. The pressure is real. But the children I've watched grow the most are the ones whose parents chose the long game, who started early and stayed the course. I've taught some children for 4, 5, even 8 years, and what 8 years of steady, focused teaching produces is very different from what 3 months of drilling produces. It's not just the results, though the results do come. It's the way the child carries themselves. How they sit with a hard problem, how they think out loud without being afraid of being wrong. These children don't just do well in math, they do well in life, yeah? Because they've spent years learning that hard things can be figured out if you stay with them long enough. That's what the long game looks like. And it starts with one decision, to begin before the pressure hits. Many parents think of PSLE as a finish line, get through it and the hard part is over. But I've watched too many children cross that line and struggle immediately after. Not because secondary school is impossibly hard, but because the foundation they built for PSLE was never solid enough to carry forward. Secondary math builds directly on what your child learns in primary school. Fractions, ratio, algebra, they don't disappear after PSLE. They grow, they get harder, they go deeper. A child who memorized their way through primary math finds secondary school very difficult, very quickly. But a child who truly understood moves forward with confidence. That's why I always tell parents, we are not just preparing your child for PSLE, we are preparing them for everything that comes after it, yeah? Foundation doesn't expire at PSLE. The right foundation just keeps going, and so does your child.
That shift I talked about at the start is real. I've watched it happen in children for 30 years, it's not rare. It just needs the right conditions. There's more on this channel, subscribe and keep watching. Each video adds another piece to the picture. And if you're wondering whether those conditions are possible for your child, my WhatsApp link is in the description. One conversation is usually enough to know.